Yeah, okay. So today we're just gonna go through the basic kind of intro, what is Python, and blah blah. So Python, it's a kind of interpreted language, and we're gonna discuss what this interpreted means, and it's kind of high level general purpose programming language. Like, do you know what interpreted and high level language means?
No, I don't.
Okay, so basically, there are two types of like translators in programming languages. Some programming language use interpreter and some use compiler. This is the basic, a kind of image. We have a source code, we write an instruction in high level language. High level language is the language which kind of we understand, we human understand, and low level language is you could say it's the kind of machine code that machine understands. So there must be a kind of translator between high level language source code and a level language machine, a low level language machine code. Yeah, so in some cases they are compiler and in other they are interpreter. What compiler does is it kind of scans whole the code, the whole Python file or anything, and translates that whole high level code into low level machine code. That's what compiler does. And what interpreter does is it also does the same job, but the way it does it's kind of different. It goes line by line, it reads this first line, it would translate that into machine language machine code or low level binary thing which computer understands, and then move to the next one. If it gets an error or on the third line, it's gonna stop. It's not gonna translate the remaining line. It will stay. It will say that go fix the error on the third line and that. But in case of compiler, the the language who use compiler, they just compile the whole kind of thing, and they are like, okay, in line number 3 we are having some error, but I have like also translated the remaining last two lines into machine code. So that's the basic difference. In Python is a kind of interpreted language. You would have noticed that if there are 4 lines, let's add a kind of cell. I guess it's a big thing. Oh, maybe I can add that on the top. Yeah, let's suppose it's like a is equals to 22, and then third line we are like a, and fourth line we are like print high. It's gonna give us some kind of error in line number 2. It's not gonna go on line number, maybe it will not give an error because it's Jupyter notebook. Yeah, let's see what happens. It's just connecting. Okay, so that's running. Let me if I do b, yeah, now for sure it's gonna give a kind of error. Like, see, it says like on line number b, like on line number 2. Let me enable lines. Yeah, on line number 2 there's a b, and I can't find where b is. So the basic thing
Hmm.
is, it whenever it finds the error, like, it's the from this we could see that it's translating the statements line, or the code one by one. It sees the error on
Yeah.
line 2, it kind of stops. It does not does the execution for line number 3. So that's what interpreter is. And general
Hmm.
purpose language, it means it Python is used kind of everywhere. It's not made for a specific domain, let's suppose for a scientific purpose or for,
Hmm.
blah blah things and that thing. So compiler translates code written in high level language into machine code at once before the program runs. See, like, it kind of compiles it and the program runs, whatever it can run. Interpreter converts each high level statement one by one into machine code during the program run. So that's the basic kind of thing. So high level language, what high level language is, it's kind of user oriented. That's what we see. Python is a high level language, C and every
Hmm.
other language is high level language because we can
Hmm.
understand it. Designed to make programming straightforward, like Java, C, C++, etc. General purpose programming language, it's broadly used across every domain or something. It does not has a special purpose for which it's designed. So Python is general purpose high level language and interpreted language. So it was kind of created by this guy in 1991. It's really flexible, means that we can do functional development. We're gonna see what that really is. It means that we can create function, group different statements. Like we could just group whatever I have created, like three print statements into one thing and give it a name, and that thing is called a function. Whenever we will run that function, those three different statements would run. So function, making function or something is like just grouping the things. Procedural is kind of a line by line approach, and object oriented is a really kind of different thing. We're gonna see it's a kind of advanced concept. And next thing is Python is really kind of readable. It does not include those it has some kind of symbols, but it's really human readable. Like there is a print statement which literally prints whatever is written in that stuff. So in short, like it, if I go down here, you would see it has a lot of a kind of I don't know. If we want to convert into string, we just use str for integer int. So it does not makes us say that, oh, type this and blah blah blah. It just uses words to do
Mm,
specific task and functions.
mm,
So human readable. Why using Python? Because great starter language, because it doesn't have like the syntax, the way it's written, the way we write the code, it's really easy. It's not,
mm,
if compared to C or C++, we need to do this and this, we need to
mm,
use pointer and declare the variable type and allot the space for that and blah blah. And the great thing is, yeah, it's great for beginners, but it kind of also grows as your skill grows or as you grow with the career. So there are more, we could do really advanced stuff like machine learning, data analysis, and do some kind of data science projects for that. And the last thing, it has a huge great community which has already done a lot of things. Let's suppose you got an error, there are kind of 90% chance that somewhere someone on the internet has really faced the same error, and someone from the community
mm,
helped them or fixed the error. So you're getting help. That's really, if you get stuck in something, getting help is really easy. What
mm,
can we build? Machine learning projects, AI. We could do web development like server side, or we could just say Django, Flask. These are the two packages, and yeah, a couple of other things to know. Yeah, that's kind of a good thing to remember. It's like really similar to English because it was influenced by mathematicians, so they just used kind of words or keywords to do certain things. Python uses a new line to complete a command. So whenever a statement is done, you need to insert a new line to tell Python that, okay, this is the first thing that's done. Now this is the second thing you need to translate into, machine code or something. And the third most important thing is indentation. Indentation is like, let me give you an example. If we write let's if statement, if 2 is greater than 1, do something like print hi. So these four spaces, these are called the indentation. What this does, it kind of specifies a kind of code block for this
mm.
if statement or any other thing. I guess you have an idea about this indentation. It
Yeah,
basically
I
helps the
know, but
Python to.
I don't know when it needs to be used and
Yeah.
what is I didn't know what the purpose exactly was for.
So the indentation is just we are just telling the Python that this is a new code block. So
Mm,
anything inside this indentation is like you know 3 minus 5 or anything we write. These like after this indentation, these are basically four spaces, one, two, three, four. Yeah, four spaces, or you could just press tab. So anything after this indentation will come into a new code block. So you could say basically this is like the root code block, and this is the if code block. If, why I'm calling
mm.
it if, because it's inside the if statement. If we
Yeah,
had a
yeah.
for loop or something, we would have a for loop in indentation block or something like that. So
Mm,
these were just some basic stuff to remember.
mm,
A new line means a new statement in Python, a new command. And indentation tells the Python that this is a separate kind of code block. Treat it separately. Don't treat it like a normal command or something. Yeah, a quick start. Let's open CMD to, I know like Python would be installed on your system, but properties 3628. Yeah, it's gonna be good. So Python minus minus version version to check the version. My version is 3.9.12. Might be if you will install today, you will get a better kind of new version or something. And this command, this line is to, yeah, let's do Python. We could even do Python coding in terminal by just typing Python, and now we are in the Python editor or something. We could do just print hi, and it's gonna run. A is equals to 4 and B is equals to 5, and on third line we are like A plus yeah, A plus B. It's kind of working. And to exit Python from the CLI command line interface, just press exit. And let's suppose you are interested to run a Python script or a Python file in the terminal. So you just need to write Python and then file name, I don't know, main.py something, anything, and just press enter, and that's gonna run in your terminal. So that's a quick start without, you have recently installed Python and you just wanna check that if everything is good. That's a good way to check. you know so the next thing, print statement. Would you like to add or say something about this thing, print statement?
Yeah. Okay.
Like what do you know about this thing? Anything,
I know that once you give the command to print and you put what you want to print in a bracket and you make it a string, it outputs anything that you.
Yeah, exactly, you're
Yeah.
right. Let's try print 1. Let's try this. Yeah, it even works if you put integer or a float type. Let's do 1.66. Yeah, so it's not it's not kind of limited to string. We can also pass numbers or that stuff. So
Okay.
yeah, you're right. Inside print statement or print function, basically this is function, whatever. If we have some keyword, and after that we have these parentheses like round brackets, if you see something like this, that's a function in Python. So this print, it's a function. Like if I hover my mouse over this, you could see it's a function. And what it takes, print values, it could be, separated by strings or something. It just describes print value stream and blah 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 blah. So anything inside this function, anything you pass inside this function. But yeah, we have restriction. We can only pass basic data types. Let's suppose we could pass maybe a list to 1 comma 2 1 comma, yeah. So any basic Python data type can be passed into this print function. The thing, it's kind of important, it's just to print something on the console. And what the console really is, this is the console thing, the terminal. It's a new word for terminal, and that's it. And yeah, one more important thing in print statement, we could, yeah, so if you specify the string, we could either use a single quotation or we could use double quotation. And that doesn't make much difference. But let's suppose you want to write something that he is isn't there isn't there. So see, I needed to put a comma right there, something, but I needed to put that in a kind of string. So right there, Python is messing. It's saying, oh, the string started from this point, and the string kind of ended after this, and after this, this is like, Python is like, what really this is. So that's why they gave us the option to use double quotation. In some case, we
I
need
see.
that if if we need to do something like this.
Yeah, I
So
get
yeah,
it.
print statement, something like print statement is showing or outputting anything. And let's suppose we wanna, oh, your thoughts on input function. This is a function. Anything you know about this?
Um, Input. I
Like,
know
have
it's
you
a
ever used this?
function.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I might have used it because most of what I did in my project is copying lines of code and just adjusting it to my own project.
Hmm.
But I know that the input function, to be honest, I'm not very sure how I can
Yeah, just
define it.
any guess, random guess. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
You could
I
just make any
I
random guess.
Yeah, I know that you can use it to input numbers or maybe floats and integers
Hmm.
when performing an operation, but that's as much as I can say.
Okay. That's great. Yeah. I just wanna, don't I just don't wanna make this session kind of one way that I'm talking and talking. So
Yeah,
I'm
I
that's why I'm
understand,
kind
and
of,
I like it that way.
yeah.
Thank you.
Because like if you would know anything, I would get that, oh, you know that, and I would just try to find any kind of mistake, or maybe I could leave the basic part and come up, like just jump on the advanced thing related to that
No,
topic.
I
So
like how we're doing it. I like the way we're doing it.
okay, so basically we studied about print function. It's just outputting something into the console or command line
Uh-huh,
into the terminal.
uh-huh,
So in Python, maybe sometime, let's suppose we were creating a program in that we were creating a calculator, command line calculator, and we wanted the user to enter the first number. And how can we do that? We could do that by using this input function. It's like, again, if it's a function, it would have a keyword and then
uh-huh,
these two round brackets, and inside this we again need to pass a string that the user will see, and that will help the user to know what this program really needs. So we could just say enter the first number, and puts this kind of semicolon and this, and let's run this. So you could see I am having this bar right here top of this, so I need to, maybe I can enter 55, and after entering 55, it it kind of returns to me. So the important thing about this input function is whenever a user enters something, whenever we run this function, a user enters something, this function returns us something back, and this is what it returns. It
I
returned a
see.
55 enclosed into single quotation. This means
I
that
see.
this function will always return a string. It's a number, but it's in a string. So that's technically, if you check the data type of this thing, that's not a string. That's not number, it's string. So the important thing is, this input function returns whatever the user enters. So we could store
Is it
that in something.
is it a
Mhm.
string because you defined it as a string?
No, no. Basically, this is just the message we wanna the user see. Uh,
Can you enter just a number so I can see?
okay. Uh, Input, enter a uh, number, and then we do this, and now see, it's like it displayed. I just
Mm,
wrote this line in the Python, and I pressed enter, and this is what the user will see. User will not see my code. I could write
okay.
100 lines, and after, whenever I complete my line, I would just run enter, and user gonna see this thing. And
Mm,
it's like enter, I enter 88, and it returns 88. I just entered a number. This thing is a kind of bit easy. So the, the point is, this is kind of nothing. I didn't specify the string or something. This is basically just a message, a text, and in Python it's a rule. If you wanna uh, do something related to text or words or letter or sentences, we need to make that in double quotation or single quotation in a string, and this input function accepts like a string, which the user would see and respond or enter any value based upon this message. So this is basically just a message, and user have entered 55, and this function returns the 55, but it's in a string form. And let me show you what we can do. That we could just store the answer in something, and
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is a variable, a.
yeah,
Or we
yeah.
could just first number, we could just store in a variable name first number. And let's now run this again. In top I see enter the first number, pressed enter to confirm or escape to cancel. This is just, VS Code is displaying some additional information. This is basically
Mm,
our message: enter the first number. I entered 10, and this time I'm not seeing that thing. Why?
mm,
Because Jupyter, this VS Code and this Jupyter file has a functionality that if you don't enter a print statement and the last line is a string or variable, a string, number, or float, or anything, a list, it would just automatically display it. Let's suppose 5, and see, it kind of displays this 5.
yeah,
So what it was doing here, that I was running this command and this function was returning me something back. And this Jupyter thing, it sees that, oh, there is something, and it kind of automatically displays down there. And right here I'm kind of storing whatever this function returns me, and what this function returns whatever is entered by the user. Okay, so if I run this, yeah, 10 was stored in this thing. So if I do print first number, I would see 10, but this time I will not see it as a string or something. But let's see the type of this variable, what is stored in this, or what's the data type. To do that, we use a function called type. See,
yeah,
this is the keyword and the round bracket. And if I do this, see, it's saying str. It means that whatever is stored in this thing, it has a data type of string. And remember that whatever the user enters, maybe the user enters Kararsha, a string, a string, and strings comes here. This function, gets a string from user and stores in this thing. Python stores in this thing. Basically, this line just, returns whatever is entered by the user. It's stored in this thing, and we are printing this thing, and it's like this. So we're gonna later discuss how to, convert these strings into a numerical thing or something, because we were planning to create a calculator. Let's create a calculator, actually. Yeah, let's kind of create that. Enter the first number, second number is equals to input, enter the second number. Okay, we are done with this. And after that, what we gonna do, we are like add addition. What we are doing, we are like first number and then press plus sign, it's like arithmetic operator. And second number, we are just adding, whatever the user
yeah,
enter, it goes
yeah,
here, and
yeah,
it's like this.
yeah,
And on third line,
yeah.
we are like addition, just print whatever is stored, or whatever these things have done, just store that in this
Mm,
thing, and at last print that. Let's suppose I enter like 22 and 22, and for the second number I enter 55. See what it does? It does not kind of add those number, it kind of,
yeah,
concatenates that. The reason why
yeah,
it
yeah,
does, because the data type of this first number and second number is string. And if I do char and plus and then again a string, what it will do is it kind of, concatenates it,
yeah, yeah,
concatenate this
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
add this. So that's what it's doing here. So later on we gonna see how to, typecast convert the type of variables or something like that. So this was a short intro to input function. The really important thing to remember is whatever it returns would be in a string. So we need to be careful, when we are getting some integers or numbers from the user. We need to convert them into numeric type, before we do any kind of addition, subtraction, or something.
So just a question before you continue. So when we pass this input function and we say first number or second number, yeah, that line where you are. So what does, I mean, just so I'm clear, the user will see just the phrase enter the first number or the second number.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what the
this
user is going
message.
to see.
Yep,
Okay.
that's what the user is gonna see.
And then the user will type in the number.
Yeah, it will run line by line. First, this line would run, user will see this message.
Yeah,
And whenever the user enters something, the Python is then gonna go to next line.
I see.
Okay.
And it will display whatever the user is would it be displaying the whatever the user is typing as the user is typing it, or it will only display it at the end of?
No. The input of the user, yeah, it will display that. Or like, see, like, can you see this thing? This bar,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So
that's
see
what the user is seeing.
if the user enters 88, user can see the user says, oh, no, not this number. It could do a backspace and under 55. User needs to enter a number or anything and then press enter. After he or she presses enter, then it's gonna go to Python, or this thing is gonna go into Python. That, oh, this is what user enters. This is the message,
Yeah, and
the user sees. Okay. If you press
and
enter,
it will
next
display as
command.
a string. Yeah,
99. Yeah. Sorry, what did you say?
and it wasn't displaying as a string like the first time, right?
Like
You
string as
know,
what? Like,
the 55 at the first instance when you did it, it displayed as a string.
no, at this
It
time it
had
does
it.
not knows anything. We are just, we are just entering something. We could enter this number, or we could without, quotation. This time we are not concerned about the data type, string, numeric, or something. We are just entering whatever we can. We could just enter the dollar sign, and after that few numbers, and after that uh, a letter, and Python would happily accept that because user can enter anything. Like, see this time. But later on, when it gets to this function, then it's gonna convert anything, whatever that user has have entered, into a kind of string. So this all is string, you know uh like, is it clear? Or
Yeah, I understand now. I understand.
okay. So, like, the key point is, whatever this input function, whatever the user enters, if you're using this input function, the input function is gonna convert the user value into a string, no matter it's a number or a decimal point, fraction, symbol, character, sentence. It's gonna be string. you know that's
Right.
basically the takeaway. So yeah, next thing is comments. These are just, so comments are ignored when the code is executed. Like, do you know about comments?
Yeah.
Okay,
If
cool. So
if
let's.
you have a hashtag before anything,
Yeah.
it
So
doesn't
basically,
recognize it as a line of code. Yeah.
yeah. Exactly. So we can either like do some kind of documentation, or add some, small lines describing our code, or we sometime use this to, uh, hide some, or like, don't what could we say, like this was some kind of really Python code, and I didn't want to run this, so I could just convert this into a command. So, the Python interpreter just ignores this and treat like this line as a command. So it's like there are uh, two ways we can use this. One, we could, document or explain our code. Second thing is, we could comment our code. So, if we don't want to execute anything, we just could comment that out, and Python will ignore that. So yeah, that's it. And the next thing was, yeah, hash sign. And there is another thing. If we use like three quotations, and we enter anything in that, 1 2 3, and after that I enter, this is my Python code. So this is basically a multi-line command. We could enter as many lines as we want, you know, if we use these three single quotations. This is called a multi-line command. So yeah,
And
that's it.
would that be a line of code or not, or is just a comment?
No, It's just a
Still a
multi-line
comment.
command. Yeah, it's
Okay.
just a
All
multi-line
right.
command. If you go ahead,
Okay.
the Python treats like this is a string literal, and they are not assigned to a variable, will be
Okay.
ignored. Like if there is a
Okay.
string in Python, let's suppose uh, print hi. This is a Python line, and
Yeah.
inside this we write some string. Hi, and that string is not assigned to something, it's not assigned to any variable. And if I run this
Yeah.
code will execute really nicely. It's printing, oh, let's do hello, because you will get confused that, oh, it's printing this like addition thing, and after that it's printing hi. This thing is getting completely ignored. So we could use this or take advantage of this thing, and we could, three quotations are just used to make it a bit more clear that it's a multi-line comment.
Okay.
Three quotations, single quotation at start, and after that, three more, telling the Python that the string starts here and the string ends here. So we could use this to write a paragraph or something explaining a record or anything. It's like a multi-line comment. But the real comment in Python is like, this thing is, the real command. This is just, we took advantage of something. There was something that if we write string between some code and we don't assign it to any keyword, any variable, it's gonna get ignored by a
I
Python
understand.
interpreter. Yeah, so that's
And
that's what it
that way
is.
we don't have to be putting a hashtag before every line
Yeah, if we have
when we,
multiple lines, then yeah,
yeah.
definitely we could do that.
Yeah.
That's why the programmers came up with this kind of thing, this cool thing. That's not a official kind of command, but a
Yeah.
shortcut to do that. So yeah, I guess we should kind of stop this session and start. I'm gonna send you a new link, and then we could continue because we only have
Okay.
two
All right.
minutes. Yeah.
All right. No problem.